ask about what you want to talk about? Medicare?
Do we ever?
So welcome back, everyone. Woo-hoo!
Woohoo!
If you hear that sound, you know that Michael Henderson, the owner of Tapestry
house.
Insurance, is in the house. Get up right on that mic so we can hear you really close. And I want you to tell everybody, you've been on my show for the longest time talking about Medicare, and
Yeah.
I love having you on. I want you to tell everybody a little bit why, and I'm going to go right back to the beginning.
Okay.
Why every day is a Medicare day.
I love that.
Yeah, every
It
day is
is.
a Medicare day.
It is.
I cannot hear. Okay. there
Any
you go.
day's a Medicare day. Yeah, we've got, anytime people are turning 65, they're retiring from an employer with an employer group plan or something like that, they, are then looking at their Medicare. And that could be any time during the year. People retire every day, people turn 65 every day. So that's why we came up with that. But, a lot of people think because all those advertisements on TV during the last quarter of the year, during annual enrollment, that that's the only time that Medicare, you have options. But there's election periods during the year as well.
Now, what I love about you too is that you help anyone in the Southwest, right?
Yep.
And the other thing about you is that you really watch out for your clients. You are all about service. You're all about education. That is one of the biggest things that you love coming on here and talking a little bit about and educating people about Medicare.
Yeah. We really, to me it is all about education. We are licensed insurance agents, so of course, you got that, everybody's a salesperson that's in insurance, right? But I view it differently. I view that we're in a position where people are so confused when they retire, when they go off of their under 65 insurance or something like that, that it's hard for people. They get confused. It's something they don't know about. And so I view us as educators. I view that we need to make sure that people understand what's happening and that there are options for them.
One of the things that I think is the hardest, first of all, if you are working for someone, now you're no longer working for them, and maybe that you're going to have to figure out what to do, but also being a solopreneur, right? When you don't have anything, you don't know where to go or someone to talk to.
Yeah, and it's like that for everybody. It's not just, you have your business, I have my business. I happen to be in insurance, but
so you know what you're talking about.
But we don't know, normally we don't know anything about insurance, and that's the same for people that work for a large company as well. They get, they might have one or two or even three plans that they choose from their employer, but in actuality, they really don't dive deep into what each one is to make their choice. Usually the choice is about how much comes out of their paycheck, which I've said here on the show before. And or maybe if they look really deep, they might look at how much is the deductible. Problem with that is they don't know co-payments, they don't know networks, they don't know things like that. So the first time they go to Medicare, or looking to go on to Medicare, I should say, all these questions come up and they're like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about this before. And that's why it gets so confusing.
And the other thing that's confusing too is medication.
Yeah, so medications, things that are covered on your employer group plan are going to be covered differently on Medicare. Oh, potentially differently, I should say. And so you need to look at that. There's going to be changes to prescription drug coverages. Medicare has set in motion some changes for 2025 on prescription drugs. Now, to be clear, I don't know plan designs just yet. We won't know that till October 1st. But I do know the Medicare rules have changed. And I think it's positive for the most part. The max out-of-pocket for prescription drugs is going down substantially. But that means that the plan design from carriers is going to have to change. So we don't know what that looks like yet. But this is going to be a year where during that AEP, even though we're saying annual enrollment, even though we're saying any days of Medicare day, annual enrollment time, you're going to really want to check your plan out.
That's the big time where people can make some changes.
Yeah, for people that are already on Medicare, that's the big kind of change time. But it's a time where you'll need to evaluate it. And if you have an insurance agent, great. My plea to the world is make sure you're working with somebody local.
Right.
And if you don't have an agent, reach out to us. Our office will get you connected with a local agent.
Now, he does serve people, in all of the Southwest. You can call him direct. His phone number is 480-847-0701. Now, here's the thing. We
Leave
can
a
talk about
message.
this. You gotta leave a message, and the reason why you gotta leave a message is why?
We don't have permission to call unless we have permission to call.
Mhm.
So we can't just grab a phone book and look at people that are 65 or something and start calling out of the blue.
Mhm.
We have to have somebody reach out to us or give us some kind of permission to call them back.
Right, so just leave a message.
Yeah.
People today don't leave messages. I mean, they think
Yeah.
calling is the deal. No, it's not, especially in the Medicare world.
Yeah.
But you know what? People that are older folks like us, we know the difference, right?
Yeah.
We have that.
We
still have
grew up
that
before
class.
voicemail, or before email and voicemail
Right.
and texting and all that stuff.
Exactly. Now, I did also want to talk to you about when you work with people and how you like to talk to people as much as you can. I know that you get really super busy, and sometimes you end up talking to your, I think, who is the
Norma,
person?
my office
Norma,
manager.
the office manager.
Yeah.
But you really do try and talk to people as much as you can, get to understand what's going on, but also because you want to make sure that you can get to them the right person in their area, and that's why having you cover the entire Southwest makes that help that so much.
Yeah, and people ask, how can you cover the entire Southwest? I'm an agency, so we have agents around that do what I do, and we're like-minded folks that really want to help people, educate them, and make sure that they have a choice and they understand, you know, the plan that they are going on to or that they're on. Either way, we don't push anybody onto a plan.
Right.
And so that's really important to us. But yeah, Norma can connect you with a local agent. She's very well versed in this industry. She's worked for carriers, much like I have. She's worked for insurance agencies, and she's also done this a long time, like I have too. So we've got good service for you.
His phone number is 480-847-0701. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned it, that one of the things that you also really talk about a lot here too is talking to somebody local, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And why people should not call at least 800 numbers, or they get inundated with, this mail that they have all sorts of information, and everything looks really good until maybe you make a mistake.
Until it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know in the first segment if I have time to go through this, but I just had this happen to one of our agents. Called with a question about a client that they came across, and there's some rules around election periods, as we've talked about here. So this may be a little complicated for the radio, but
We'll try.
But the example is basically they talked to an 800 number. I don't know who, I don't know what call center. They got in touch with a call center. They switched them to another plan, not based on the needs of the person, because they didn't do a full look, and the person was confused. You know, we don't know when we're talking to somebody on the phone. We think they have our best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And she got changed. Ironically, there really wasn't an election period. They kind of slid one through for her. And now she can't go back because there's truly not an election period to get back on the plan that she was on. So the situation is you just need to, I believe, you need to talk to somebody local that has your best interests at heart, and one that's going to hopefully do the right thing for you. Just remember, in this insurance game, you're in the driver's seat. No matter who you're talking to, they should be educating you, and you get to make the choice. I think that's really important, and people forget that. They get pushed into things, and that's not right.
And when they're confused, and you might be talking for a long time, you just don't know what to say. And believe me, when you call back on those 800 numbers, you're not getting that same person.
No.
Like you will when you do talk with Michael and their group. Okay, the phone number is 480-847-0701. And we're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about that with you a little bit, because I was telling you, one of the things that we've talked about it before, where like my ex-husband ended up having to do some kind of a surgery, and he knew it was coming up.
Yeah.
He wanted to see if he could, work things out, where he could change it up a little bit so that he wouldn't have to be responsible for whatever it was. Anyway, so again, and you just don't know what you don't know. I've said that so many times on my show. Michael's all about educating people. We're going to go to a break. When we're going to come back, we're going to talk further. His number again, it's 480-847-0701. Woohoo! Michael Henderson is in the house. We're going to keep on going here.
For those watching on Facebook, I am scheduled for a haircut this week.
Yes.
My 2 to 3 month regularly scheduled haircut.
I'm a little bit behind on mine too.
It's growing over my ears. My mom would have a fit.
That's funny. It looks good. Yeah, I always go in, and it's the day that I go in is when it looks the best, right?
There you
So
go.
it's funny.
Yeah. I finally brushed my hair today. No.
But, yeah, that was something that happened, that he ended up, having to have this surgery, wasn't sure whether or not he should push it out a little bit, you know, cause he had that option,
Mhm.
or if he should get it done, you know, of course, everybody wants to get it all done before the end of the year. You know,
Yeah, depending on the situation, you know, there's sometimes, depending on where he's at, there may not be a lot of difference in plans. Like he may be on a good plan that covers that surgery well, and he could look at something that might save a little bit, but you never know. Then the give and take is he may lose some benefits somewhere else, right? So if we think about it, an insurance carrier basically gets the same amount of money for somebody that's enrolled in, let's say, a Medicare Advantage plan, whether it's with ABC company or XYZ company. They get the same amount of money for that, but they don't necessarily have the same benefits because they get to choose where those benefits go. And so with that, you know, in mind that they get the same amount of money, they gotta pull benefits from somewhere to add them somewhere else.
right,
So,
I know sometimes people are, I don't know how it goes, penny pound, whatever
Yeah,
it is,
penny-
but something,
Yeah, I know what
something
you're saying.
foolish. And, but I do know people wanna try, right?
Yes.
They wanna do
Yeah.
whatever they can
90 seconds.
because they wanna save, they're worried about the cost,
yeah,
right?
yeah, certainly, and that's something that their agent should be looking at with them. I would say also that if you've got a procedure coming up, you can talk with that surgery center or that doctor's office, and they can get they should get a prior approval done anyway, and they'll know
What
pretty
you're
close
being
what your cost is
responsible.
gonna be. Yep. Headphones back on.
What's that?
Headphones back on.
Yeah.
Here we go, folks.
It's a little bit loud.
Here we go. uh, oh. Thought we were 1 minute. We're still going, folks. Don't worry. There we go.
I love it.
There's our ad. There we go.
Woohoo!
We're back.
We have Michael Henderson here. He's the owner of Tapestry Insurance Group. You love, first of all, you are the biggest people person.
I love what I do.
You do. You
Yeah.
absolutely love what you do. And you
Yeah.
have talked to us a little bit about my board operator. Oh my goodness gracious. He just came in and was like, yeah. But you, first of all, education,
Yeah,
about that. But you were telling me a story, and you've told it many times here, about how you got into this the first time you ever did this, when you
Yeah.
spoke to the first person, you realized that this was the job for you.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Well, first of all, I love talking with people and meeting
You do.
people. You know, it's I don't like large groups, but I like individual.
Mhm.
You know, meeting with people, and it's fun. You know, I realized when I met with this lady, and she was like 93 at the time, so a little bit older, but super nice lady with it. She didn't like Medicare, she didn't like the government, didn't like doctors. so that was my first experience with it. But I felt at the end, even though she didn't enroll in anything, which is, my goal is to make sure people are safe and secure and have what they need, not to do the enrollment. I've been doing this a long time, so it's not about, you know, an insurance policy. It's about making sure people are treated correctly, if we can. And so, you know, she didn't want to do anything, and at the end of the meeting, she asked me if she needed to, and I said, absolutely not, you don't have to. As long as you know what you've got and you're comfortable with that, then I've done my job. And it really set in for me, long story short, later in the year when she called me back during annual enrollment, and she still didn't enroll, but she remembered our conversation. She called to ask me if she had to do anything. and that told me that she, you know, she at least got it and things like
That's
that.
cool, though.
Yeah, it's really cool. She called me the next 3 years. I haven't heard from her since. I suppose, you know, she was a little older, so maybe, unfortunately, she wasn't in need of my services anymore. But yeah, you know, that really made me fall in love with what we do, because I get to meet good people, and I get to help them understand something that's fairly complex, or something at least they haven't done in their past, and so it's kind of fun.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about too is being that it is, gosh, can you believe it's already almost August?
No.
I know,
No.
and it's also hot out.
It is hot. We talked about that. It's hot.
We can't believe
Yeah.
it's still hot.
Yeah, all all your local agents are going through their certifications for next year and things like that's what I was doing this morning. So everybody's hard at it, trying to get ready to help serve you for next
October,
year.
which
Yep.
is really
Yep.
the big season, right?
Yeah.
But like we said before, every day is a Medicare day because
Yeah.
somebody turns 65 every day.
Yes, any day, every day. Even just in the state of Arizona, much less nationally. You know, there's
In the world, by the way.
Yeah, we've got a lot of, there's a lot of seniors. This year is supposed to be what they call peak 65, which is the baby boomers' big boom was this year. So
Really?
the baby boomer big boom.
Those parents were busy.
Yeah. So, this is supposed to be the year that that the most seniors turn 65, or most people turn 65, which is pretty awesome. And so I don't know if that's true or not. That's
When
just what
should
they're saying.
somebody call you? Let's say they're turning 65.
Uh-huh.
When should they call you? When's the best time?
When they think of me. First of all,
Which you should be all the time.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I would say there's no best time. Call when you have a question. You can do something and you can sign up for Medicare, the Medicare part, about 90 days out from your 65th birthday, or the month of your 65th birthday. So yeah, call us anytime in there if you need help with that, that application process or something. We don't, to be clear, we don't work for Social Security or Medicare. We work for you, and we're contracted with the carriers, but we can still give you direction on how to make that application happen.
I think it's important too for people, that a lot of people that are over 65,
Mm-hmm.
they have to take a lot of medication. I
Sometimes,
think
yeah.
it's best to start calling, have that consultation with you.
Mhm.
It's a free service to you to be able to find out, first of all, what, that's probably right there, the biggest issue for people right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
is their meds. And then, of course, the other thing is if you have any changes, right, because that also happens, somebody
Mhm.
gets another one
Yeah.
given to them or what have you.
Yeah, well, and this year especially, I know people are already reading articles about changes coming to Medicare, which we only know the Medicare, the actual Medicare changes. We don't know plan changes yet. I've already had people calling, setting up appointments for annual enrollment because they're reading about how things are going to change. And of course, they might change a little, they might change a lot. We just don't know until the plans get released. But Medicare, like I said, has made changes to the prescription drug plan, prescription drug max out of pockets and things like that. So yeah, so there's no best time. We've already got people calling for appointments for annual enrollment.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Now, the phone number to call, it's 480-847-0701. I do want to also mention too, when you say that, considering that annual enrollment is in October, boy, people are getting ready already. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is the first time I've had people call this early. I've been doing this a while, and this is the first year I've had people calling this early.
Because there's so many changes that they're considering.
Well, I think there's articles out there, and anytime there's articles, it creates fear, and which is not what I'm trying to do. I want to just educate people on things. So I think it's just, it's a good time to know that it's probably a good year to evaluate. And if your plan is good for you, we're going to leave you right there. But at least going into it, because worst thing that can happen, not the worst thing that can happen, but if you don't look at your plan and then you go in next year to use it, say in January or February to pick up your prescription at the pharmacy or something like that, and then there's a change you didn't realize because of the
there's a
notices and
surprise.
stuff, so you get a surprise.
Mhm.
It's likely not going to be too awful bad, but better to know beforehand than after the fact.
Right. When you work with people, and we're talking about, I have said this I don't know how many times on the show with you, do
I
not,
don't either.
until I say it right now. That's why I love him. But is that, do not speak with your even your spouse you know, you guys, it's all about everybody's story is what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Everybody has a story, it's different for everyone. You may not even be on the same, insurance plan as your spouse
Yeah, that's the
or
beauty.
significant other.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Medicare's is with an employer group plan, you have to be on the same plan as your spouse that's working for that employer. On Medicare, you get to be on the plan that's best for you, regardless of what your family's on or spouse or friends or neighbors. Now, I don't want to advocate for anybody getting in trouble with their spouse. Do talk to your spouse, but
Well, maybe you do and maybe
but
you
when
don't.
it comes to Medicare, give us a holler because likely even between you and your spouse, you and your neighbors, you probably have different medical needs and things like that.
Absolutely. You know, my ex-husband is much older than me, and I remember we were sitting there talking with a bunch of people, and everybody in the older sect of seemed to talk a lot about either Social Security
Yeah,
or Medicare's a big one, doctors and this and that.
Mhm.
And it just so happened that everybody was talking a little bit about Medicare, and somebody was talking, I don't remember, it was like Plan F or something, I don't remember what it was, they
Yeah.
have so many alphabets in
Oh, yeah.
the soup there. But I was sitting there thinking how, because I knew I had spoken with you so many times on my show, and I had said to them, how do you know what is you're talking about right there, that you're telling him is such a great plan,
Yeah.
is going to be right? And a lot of people tell you when they love their plan, they want to tell
Oh, yeah,
everybody about
yeah.
it. But again, everybody's story is different.
Sure. It's not like, hey, I'm a Ford guy or I'm a Chevy guy or whatever. Like when we were growing up as kids, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you got to drive this because it's the best car out there. Cars are cars. I don't want to get into
Well, you don't
that,
say
but,
that,
but,
especially when there's electric ones now.
But well, they're kind of still cars. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they're go-karts. I don't know. But with medical, it's a little different, right? Because we're tailoring it to your needs
Mhm.
versus four wheels to get around town and go to the
Right.
grocery store.
Sure.
So it is a little bit different. It could be the best plan for the person you're talking to, and they may love it to
Mhm.
death.
Right.
But for you, that plan may be more expensive for you. That plan may not give you the coverages you need. Who knows? Whatever.
And the only way you know is by having that
Comparison.
consultation, and of
Yep.
course it's free to use, so it just makes sense. And Michael says, please use somebody local,
Yeah.
and also please, when you call him, leave a message. He does need you to leave a message because he can't call back if you don't. So that's really important. That's
Yep.
that's one of the rules there, and that's good for you too. His number's 480-847-0701. For people also that don't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Can you help them through those steps?
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
Yep,
because
yep.
a lot of times people think, first of all, they think that it's just gonna come in the mail,
Mhm.
and it doesn't. I think you have to sign up for that, right?
Yeah, so actually, good question. I'm meeting with a gentleman after the show here, when I get back to the office, that is retiring, and his friend, who's one of my clients, referred him to me, and he's retiring and doesn't know, the steps. He's not retiring till October or whatever, the end of the year sometime, but he wants to get a head start and kind of get his ducks in a row, let's
Yeah.
say. And I think that's good, that's important, because then, when October comes around, we're just ahead
We're not
of the-
scrambling.
We're ahead of the game.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and that's another thing. There's gonna be a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I think.
Especially the most this year than ever.
Yeah, starting to get that information early is good. Just remember, your agent doesn't have all the information for next year's plans yet. Actually, we don't have any of the information for next year's plans yet. The only thing we know is what's been published on the Medicare.gov website. So that won't come until October 1st, but you can still get on the schedule, you can get on the docket, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
with your agent. Hopefully that's one of our people. If not, hopefully it's a local agent that you've worked with in the past.
He's-
But, yeah.
Yeah, you service the entire Southwest, and what I love about Michael, he is your seniors advocate, that is for sure, and he always loves to talk to people about, because Medicare is, every day is a Medicare day. What are your
Every
final
day.
words today?
Give us a call. There's no best time, there's no best plan, but at least we can educate you so you know you're on a good plan.
It's a free service to you, so it certainly does make sense. And listen, Medicare season is around the corner.
It's coming up.
Before you know it,
Yeah.
it's right here. They don't know all the changes yet, but it's a good idea to find out now. Get yourself in the queue.
Yeah.
The number to call again is 480-847-0701. Woohoo!
Woo-hoo!
Check them out.
Perfect timing. Oh.